Out front tonight, Amy Holmes. She served as speechwriter to former Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist. John Avlon, he's editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast. Donald Trump supporter Jason Osborne. Bernie Sanders supporter Sally Cohn. Hillary Clinton supporter Bernard Whitman. And Trump supporter Aaron Elmore. John, if I could begin with you. So tonight, in these phone calls, we heard, something of a new, improved, maybe more media savvy, certainly more aggressive Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I think she's realized she's got to play offense, and I think it is extraordinary that she's taken that from Trump's playbook of just calling in, right? Call in, spread the love, but she's got to walk a line. She's got to play offense against Donald Trump. She's got to say these are the stakes in the election, but she can't get down in the mud with him because Donald Trump will win that mud fight every time. He's comfortable in the mud.
John, I got to ask you, Jason, rather, I have to ask you if you're concerned at all. I mean, listen, this was the day Donald Trump clinched that nomination. It's a big moment for him, right. And yet she was at least attempting to own the news cycle.
Well, I think you're going to see that every time. I mean, it's campaigns 101. I mean, she's going to try and come in and take the oxygen out of the room. And I think with Donald Trump, you're not going to be able to do that. What's ironic in all this is that for over 12 months, everybody said that Donald Trump would never be the nominee, but Hillary Clinton would be the nominee. Right. Now,
look where we are.
Donald Trump is the nominee for the Republican Party, and Hillary's still fighting with Bernie Sanders. So,
and Sally, I have to ask you, and I'll note again, as Sanders supporter, truth be told, it is right. As Trump points out, he's got the nomination, she doesn't. Should she be focusing on Sanders now to lock up that nomination?
Look, someone on the Democratic side is going to have the nomination, and it's going to happen pretty soon. And again, the comparison is interesting. Trump will say, "Oh, I had to beat 17 people." Well, yeah, you had a crowded field, and he was able to sort of very savvily play the media and play the sort of moment. And come out ahead in part because the field was so divided. And also, the Democrats are going through a real important challenge around substance. They are having a substantive primary. We're fighting it out. It's good for the country. It's good for the future of the party. And whoever the nominee is going to be infinitely stronger on substance, which I hope still matters in elections. I don't know. And is going to have the broad support of the country.
But you know what's interesting just on that point, which I think we're not talking a lot about, is that Bernie Sanders...
Substance?
Bernie Sanders is actually doing so well because of the anti-establishment movement. And so the Democrat nominee is actually going to win because of the establishment in the Democratic Party. If you took out the superdelegates, Bernie Sanders would be within 200 votes. So now we have, on the Republican side, you have the anti-establishment candidate that is far and away winning across the country. What do you do with your Bernie Sanders supporters who have been fighting against the establishment? Do you continue to go to Hillary at the general? I think we're in better shape.
We do want to get to the Democrats, but Aaron, I do want to talk to you. Yes, there's still a race going on the Democratic side, but let's be honest, there's still divisions in the Republican Party. This is the day the Republican nominee, in effect, crowned, and yet he does not have the endorsement of a Paul Ryan. Today, Cruz, Rubio, they didn't want to comment on it. I mean, there's still deep divisions in the Republican Party.
Deep divisions, but we are working to unify. And that's the goal that Donald Trump is really focusing on right now. He wants to unify the party. He wants everybody to get along and to be able to play in that same proverbial sandbox. And he's already met with Paul Ryan. It was a very positive meeting, and they're moving forward. So really, his next target is taking down Hillary, if she may be the nominee, which it is certainly looking that way. And right now, he's also just working on unifying that party.
Bernard, do you buy that? Are they moving forward? Is the GOP moving? Is it kumbaya in the GOP already?
No, it's lurching forward to, I think, potential disaster in the fall. I mean, what you see is a party that can't even get the highest elected official to publicly endorse him. But I mean, the thing that really bothers me, frankly, about Donald Trump is less about Donald Trump and what does it say about the Republican voters that are supporting him? Because it actually, I talk to Republican voters all the time who are supporting Donald Trump, and I say, how can you support someone that wants to build a wall, wants to ban Muslims, wants to pull out of NATO, wants to give South Korea and Japan nuclear weapons? And they say, you know what? He's never actually going to do that stuff. It doesn't really matter. I don't really believe it's going to happen.
I talk to Trump supporters
doesn't truth actually matter?
Hold on. I talk to Trump supporters all the time as well. Some of my closest friends are Trump supporters.
I'm sorry.
And they are anti-establishment. They are very frustrated with the Republican Party that didn't put the brakes on the left-wing policy agenda of President Obama and Democratic leadership. And I'm telling you how Trump supporters feel. You can laugh at them if you want. But that's part of why they're supporting Trump. I think it's interesting, getting back to Hillary doing the call-ins, taking a page out of Donald Trump, that she's also trying to frame him now as if it is a general election by calling him unqualified. So she's taking that page out of the Trump playbook as well.
Unqualified,
loose cannon. She's hoping it'll stick.
I'm sorry, but again, it is interesting because I've also talked to Trump supporters, and yes, there are plenty who enthusiastically support his views, but there are not only many in the Republican electorate who are trying to come around to Trump, but even some ardent Trump supporters who have said, yeah, I don't really want to round up and deport 11 million people. Yeah, I don't really want to ban 30% of the world's population from being able to come into our country.
Temporarily.
So it's
Still an
interesting
entire
that
religion,
they're
let's be
uncomfortable
honest.
that Trump goes too far, whereas the Democrats, when we have to unify, the issue of Sanders supporters is that maybe Hillary doesn't go far enough in terms of that populist rhetoric. So these are wildly different
point here,
points.
because it is incredibly ironic that Hillary Clinton, who froze out the field, is still fighting to beat Bernie Sanders, a 74-year-old Democratic socialist, and Donald Trump won a 17-person field. But it's also absolutely not crazy to say that Hillary Clinton's going to have an easier time uniting the Democratic Party around her in opposition to Trump than Donald Trump is uniting the Republican Party, because from reform Republicans in the center right to evangelicals, a lot of them are going to have an incredibly hard time backing Donald Trump because of the way he's
Let's hold those thoughts, because we're going to have a whole other block to talk about this, including talking about the Democrat. John Avalon, I just want to bring you in. So you heard her insisting there the Trump campaign is united. So why do we see these symbols of division percolating up?
Because the divisions are real and she's spinning. That's her job. But to deny there are tensions inside the camp between Lewandowski and Manafort is just to deny reporting and sources and evidence of that being the case. Rick Wiley being bounced out is a big deal. And there always are power plays. There's always a little degree of criminology in campaigns. And her job is to go on TV and deny it all and say everything's sunshine and rainbows, but it's not. That's just not reality. It's not
Aaron, do you have a
reality.
response? Is that fair?
This sounds like fodder for the tabloids. This is really not important to what's going to happen in November. And I do believe
It's a key campaign position, to be fair.
Certainly, but we do believe that it was a temporary thing. But this is almost like Britney versus Justin. It sounds like something you'd read in Us Weekly, because it's not going to have
it's
any.
actually just normal political.
But I don't think it's going to have any sort of.
He has no governing qualification. He has no leadership. He doesn't know anything about foreign policy. So his ability to actually manage his team effectively would seem to be important.
I need you to hold that thought. Well, one more thought before we go,
This
Bruno.
entire race like a reality television campaign, and actually he's done a really good job. And I think we shouldn't be surprised that after 12 years of being fixated on reality television, we have reality television front and center in the presidential race.
It is the nature of political campaigns to be full of all sorts of tumult and second guessing and blame shifting, etc. That's politics. It ain't beanbag. And we remember when Al Gore was running in 2000, he had to move his headquarters down to Tennessee. There's all sorts of personnel changes. Now, it didn't bode well for Al Gore in the end. But to say that this is something unusual, I think is silly.
All right, hold those
exactly
thoughts, because
right.
we will have another section with the panel when we come back from this break. Back with my panel now. And Bernard, I'd like to start with you. So Clinton, of course, trying to pivot to the general election, taking shots at Donald Trump today, but you have that tight race in California. You have this really damning email report. Is she looking like a vulnerable Democratic presidential candidate?
No, she's literally on the verge of capturing the nomination. And the fact is that Inspector General report is a rehash of a rehash of a rehash. There's nothing new there. It actually validates everything that she's been
That's
saying
not entirely true.
for months.
What was new in that report was she had always said she had permission to use that email server. The report found there was no permission. She never asked for it.
She went by precedent. If I were Secretary of State, I would look to my predecessors and see what they did. Not a single Secretary of State previously had used a state.gov address. Dozens and dozens of people knew about it. There's not a single shred of evidence that suggests there was a security breach, a data breach of any sort. And after the request, she released 55,000 pages of emails that the National Archives has said, you know what, this covers her off on record keeping. So I don't understand what the
Bernie
big
Sanders regretting that he said, I don't care about your damn emails?
Again, and this is why it's still good to be a Democrat, we have managed, despite that there's plenty of fodder on both sides, we have managed to actually keep this election, or try to keep it about substance. I will say this on the emails, and I'm not a big Hillary Clinton fan per se, but it's worth noting what the report didn't say, which is she didn't do something illegal. Yes, Hillary Clinton has transparency issues. By the way, if she's the nominee, so does Donald Trump. He won't release his tax returns. She has said she's sorry. He, when asked, has said he's never apologized for anything. Again, I think the voters are going to see what really matters here. And by the way, Colin Powell did the same thing, and he wasn't attacked. And he wasn't attacked for generations.
But Jason,
by the way.
on Sally's point of the allegation of an uncomfortable relationship with the truth, let's be fair here. Donald Trump has been fact-checked, to a tremendous degree, and he's played with the truth.
Let's go back to the first point here on the email server, though, because I want to do that. Now, let's get to the second
Quick
point.
thought on that, but you have to answer on Donald Trump.
Predecessors never had their own server in a closet outside of the government.
Well, they used
so
public
let's
servers,
just
which were
set
less
that
secure,
aside.
right?
John Kerry was the
Public servers
first
are less
Secretary of
secure.
State that actually had a state.gov email address. Now, in terms of telling the truth, Donald Trump speaks for Donald Trump. Now, I can't speak for him, and I can't say that everything that he has said has been honest and truthful, because that's on him. But he's never been an elected official, and when Hillary Clinton is dealing with taxpayer dollars and
That's your best
continually
defense.
lying.
He can lie until he's
please.
elected, and then that's good. Like,
People if he's elected, which is outrageous.
Let me
I don't
try
think
to
Hillary should
bail
be
you
allowed to
out a
speak for
little
the
bit here, okay? Has Donald Trump exaggerated, hyperbole? What is his net worth really? Donald Trump has certainly stretched the truth. What we're talking about with Hillary Clinton is in her conduct as a cabinet secretary, a public official that speaks directly to her ethics and her suitability to be president of the United States. And even President Obama's own director of intelligence for the Defense Department, he said that this is completely out of bounds and that she really should not be running for this highest office in the land. And that's from the Obama administration itself.
John, is she going to pay a price for this?
I think she has paid a price. I think this has taken a real toll. It's cast a cloud over her candidacy, particularly last summer and fall. And this report is scathing. I mean, the Hillary Clinton supporters can't spin it away. It is scathing about a freeze that was put on when people tried to say this was an issue. They were told, don't dare ask about the secretary's private server. It was an error in judgment, and it was reckless, whatever the intention was. But I don't think that at this stage that people who are on the fence are going to be swayed by the server issue. Right. We'll see what the DOJ and the FBI have to say. But it can't be spun away.
How does Donald Trump capitalize on this? It's not a legal issue. The State Department did not find she broke the law, but seemed that her explanation of it was not true. But how does he capitalize on it when he has his own issues?
This goes to her truthfulness. Moreover,
he has his own issues with truth.
Certainly, but it's just back and forth. And the other back and forth is he always criticizes her. She's criticizing him for being anti-woman. Meanwhile, the Clinton Foundation has accepted money from countries like Qatar, Oman, Algeria that are inherently misogynistic. Inherently misogynistic. There is no equality in wages. There is mutilation. There is spousal abuse. There is rape. That is millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation, how Hillary Clinton is financing her lifestyle. So to say that Donald Trump is...
Wait a second.
She's not financing her lifestyle.
You can't say that.
The Clinton
That's not
Foundation
right.
is saving people's lives, millions and millions
That
and
money
millions of
still
lives.
came
She's
from
not
those
financing her
countries.
lifestyle.
Yes,
That's
and our
absurd.
country gives money to countries like Saudi Arabia and to Egypt that also have horrible policies.
And she
on
never
women.
brings
So, like,
up
where are we going to
the
start?
countries I just
and
mentioned.
that doesn't change the fact
She
that
never
Donald
brings them
Trump
up
has a
about their
pattern of
women's issues.
misogynistic treatment
Folks, we're gonna
himself.
we're going to have to
Qatar
leave it
isn't running
there.
for
Thanks very much to our excellent panel tonight.